It all started with goats. Well, to be more precise, it started with coyotes eyeing my goats. But in no time, it spiraled into something much bigger. A wildfire evacuation that spanned 3 counties, a viral scandal, and the downfall of Miriam Rhodes, the most despised HOA president on Maple Street, who was tackled into a koi pond while fleeing in a U-Haul packed with stolen garden gnomes. All because I built a siren. To be clear, I didn't intend for it to trigger chaos or cause a city-wide meltdown. It was just a DIY contraption made from parts of scrap weather station, 2 old air raid sirens, and a rusty CB radio I found at the flea market. I called it the Coyote Blaster. My daughter, Ellie, 15, dubbed it Dad's midlife crisis with volume. But worked. Whenever coyotes prowled near the goats, I'd push a button, and the sound of a whale in a storm would chase them off. The goats would calm down, the balance of my rural patch was intact, and for the first time in weeks, I was starting to feel like I had control. Until Miriam Rhodes stepped in. Miriam wasn't just the president of the Maple Hollow HOA. She was more of a passive-aggressive warlord, flinging violation notices like ninja stars and enforcing rules with the precision of a drill sergeant. And she hated the siren. My ranch sat just beyond HOA jurisdiction, where suburban lawns met the wilderness. It was a gray area legally, but Miriam insisted her bylaws extended to my property. She pulled out her decibel meter and referenced Section 14B, the peaceful enjoyment of the shared environment, claiming my siren violated the sound ordinance. My goats, munching on grass and bleeding for dear life, were quieter than her complaints, I argued. But she wasn't having it. She sent out Officer Greg Harper, not a real cop, just her HOA enforcer, to shut me down. Greg, a man who wore cargo shorts year-round, was more of a heavy-handed mall cop than an officer of the law. One Wednesday, as I was knee-deep in mud fixing a broken pipe by the goat pen, I emerged to find Greg standing on my porch, looking like a discount version of a military officer. Ellie, ever the documentarian, filmed from the driveway, muttering to herself. Here we see the HOA enforcer in his natural habitat. Greg waved a piece of paper in front of my face. "I'm seizing your illegal siren," he declared, as though he had the legal authority to do so. "I don't need a warrant. Miriam's authority is enough," he added, almost smugly. "She doesn't own this land," I spat back, stepping up to him. "I'll call the sheriff." I was sheriff in '98. I bluffed, hoping to intimidate him with a thinly veiled reference to my past. He didn't flinch. Greg just slinked toward the gate, unlatched the siren, and tossed in the back of his SUV. That could have been the end of it. Me stewing, Ellie mocking it on TikTok, and life going on. But Greg wasn't done. He had no idea how I'd rigged the siren to work with motion and heat sensors to detect large animals. It was too clever for him. That night, while I was settling in, I saw Greg sneaking around the HOA clubhouse. I figured he was just trying to stash it out of sight, but what he did next took things to a whole new level. He hooked the siren back up, doused it with Gatorade, don't ask me why, and triggered the emergency alarm. At precisely 8:03 p.m., a roar like the end of the world split the night air. Birds flew into windows, dogs started howling in terror, and hikers on nearby Ridgeview Trail thought it was the sound of a wildfire alert. Helicopters were launched, and the winds picked up, sparking a real fire that triggered an evacuation for 3 counties. By dawn, Channel 7 was camped out on my front lawn. A reporter shoved a microphone in my face, asking how it felt to spark the Great Maple Fire, as the internet had already dubbed it. Ellie's TikTok video hit 3 million views, the caption reading, "When HOA power trips and in flames." Miriam Rhodes was livid. She blamed me for everything, accusing me of rigging the siren to cause mayhem. She even called a summit at the HOA clubhouse to discuss my banishment from a neighborhood as a suburban terrorist. I'm not in your HOA, I reminded her, but that didn't stop her from launching her smear campaign. The next week, things got even crazier. Miriam sent Greg to snoop around my property again, but this time, he was less covert. This whole mess was snowballing faster than I could control. Ellie, ever the digital strategist, dug into Miriam's history. Turns out, there was more going on than I thought.